Appointment setting should not be 10-hour days in the DMs with nothing to show for it, but for most people starting out, this is exactly what it looks like. You are sending the messages, having conversations, and doing the outreach, and at the end of every month, the number does not match the work you put in. The reason is almost never the skill. The setters hitting consistent 5-figure months are not necessarily better at setting than you. They've built systems around their setting that makes every hour they put in worth more. These are the systems I'm going to show you. Here is what most setters do when the results are low. They go back and they try to get better at setting. They do more role plays, they study more frameworks, and they watch more videos. And this isn't wrong, but it's usually not the problem. Look at where your time actually goes. You had 3 conversations that were warm and then they randomly disappeared. You booked someone in and they didn't show up. You followed up twice, you got nothing, and then you moved on. None of this is a skill problem. It is a systems problem that you have. There are 5 systems that fix exactly this. And once you have them running, the skill you already have starts to compound instead of getting wasted. Number 1, the show up rate system. Booking in a sales call is half the job, but getting them to show up is the other half. And the thing is, most setters nowadays do not have a system for the second half of this. When someone says yes to a call, the natural move is to say, yay, okay, great job, I booked in my first call. And then you move on to the next conversation and you try to book in more people. But that is where you are making a mistake. That is where you are leaving money on the table. If you approach setting with the mentality of all I need to do is book in sales calls, then you are going to have a terrible show up rate. And what will end up happening is you will spend a bunch of time talking to people, trying to book them in, and then they won't even show up, and then it will just lead to nowhere. What you need to be doing is the minute that they agree to a call, you obviously go and you book them in, but you want to keep the conversation alive. And there is something called post-call report I'm going to tell you about. And pretty much what you're doing in this process of post-call report after you book them in is you're just creating rapport. You're having a conversation. You're talking about casual things like their location, what are they working on, how things have been going, whatever it is. But you want to pretty much keep yourself or the coach you're working with in their head. You don't want it to be a situation where you book them in for a call and they forget you exist. What you actually want to do is you want to book them in for a call and make sure they remember you. Make sure that they know that A, you're actually really friendly and you're a nice guy, because then they'll want to show up to the call. But B, you can actually help them solve the problem. In some scenarios, you can also find more problems or dig deeper in pain during post-call report because there's less friction now that you've actually booked them in for a sales call. You should also have a follow-up structure before the call actually happens. So 24 hours before, all you want to really do is confirm that they know the call exists, and then you also need to make sure that they've watched the recordings or material or VSL or whatever it is you've sent them, and they're ready to go. So you can do this by saying, hey, our call is tomorrow at X time, how are you feeling? And then for the actual video side of things, you can be like, by the way, how did you find the videos? Because then if they didn't watch the videos yet, they'll be like, oh shoot, I gotta go watch it, and then they'll reply to you, or they'll be like, I haven't watched them yet, and then you can tell them, hey, go watch it. So you're kind of saving yourself. It's like a double whammy. And then 2 to 8 hours before, you want to do another check-in. It's like low pressure, so you just want to say, hey, see you soon for our call in X amount of time, just to like make sure they're still reminded, of course. And then an hour before the call, you just want to say, hey, see you in an hour, or hey, still good for our call in an hour. It doesn't really matter what you say, but you just don't want them to forget at this point. What will end up happening is you'll notice that if somebody isn't replying to the follow-up 8 hours before, for example, they're probably not going to show up. So then you could be like, hey, you can message them on WhatsApp or SMS, or you maybe can call them. The whole point is do whatever it takes to get them to show up to the call. And in doing so, you're going to maximize your show-up rate. It should go up to like 90% plus, in my opinion, and you'll make way more money and it'll be way easier for you. People don't pay enough attention to this. If somebody no-shows to the call, you don't want to be a total scumbag, but you do need to give them like a bit of firmness. Like you kind of want to be that frontline person. You don't want to be like, oh, no worries, bro, we'll book you in again. Come on, don't be that dude. Be like, bro, come on, you wasted our time. Have a bit of respect. Like I can book you back in, but you actually need to show up and I don't want you doing this. If you ask them something like that, you'll notice you'll have a way better show up rate as well. You got to keep in mind, they've wasted your time and your team's time. Now that is a lot of sauce for the first system, but I got a lot more for you because system 2 is the dead time protocol. Now every setter has like these no-show slots throughout their closer's calendar. And the thing is, live calls, and you probably don't know this, but live calls convert the best. So let's say you're booking 2 to 3 calls on average per day. It is a great opportunity for you to get one of those leads that are already interested and say, hey, we actually just had somebody cancel an hour from now, or we just had somebody cancel right now. Are you actually free for a call right now? You will notice, and I've worked with sales teams, I've managed and led sales teams, that we would literally do live calls and our close rate went from like 70% to like 85%. We made significantly more money. Keep in mind, hundreds of thousands of dollars per month was what that team was doing because we would do live calls. So when somebody no-shows, you shouldn't be like, oh, I'm so annoyed. You should be like, okay, cool. I've got somebody on my closer's calendar. Can I get somebody booked in right now? Can I message someone who is booked in for today and be like, yo, dude, by the way, we just had something open up. Are you able to hop on? And like, talk to your team first, of course. But if you can get people to show up who are already interested on a call sooner, you will close them sooner. There's this crazy metric out there that like whatever company replies fastest gets like a 300% increase in sales or something like that. It's outrageous, but basically speed to lead. So if you have somebody that you know you can book in right now, do not have dead space in a closer's calendar. It's gonna annoy them, it's gonna annoy you. Don't just go and doom scroll because you have this extra time. Now go and find somebody who can hop on that call. Another aspect of this dead time protocol is usually when you don't have a workflow in place. And that is honestly, it could be its own system, but make sure that you minimize the amount of dead time throughout your day. So yes, a closer's calendar is important dead time, but also your time. So when you're a setter, you want to go from the highest priority leads or the warmest people to the coldest. So coldest is probably going to be follow-ups or like warm outbound or whatever it is on your offer, new followers, messaging them. But the warmest is probably going to be like, okay, well, people that are about to book in or people that I already pitched yesterday, but they didn't reply. So maybe I should follow up or maybe they left it on scene. Think about it as well, like from an energy perspective. And I learned this from a very good mentor of mine, but energy management is important. At the start of your day, you have the most energy, spend it on like the highest return on investment thing you can do, which in your case scenario is going to be the warmest leads. And then later on throughout the day, when you have lower energy and you're pretty tired, then you can do your follow-ups, then you can do your outbound to new followers, whatever it is. But focus on the lowest hanging fruit, which is up here. System 3 is the tracking system, and I'm very, very surprised by how many people don't actually do this. Majority of setters I know track like two main metrics, which is how many messages did I send today and how many calls did I book. But that message will tell you almost nothing useful, and it is probably just a vanity metric that makes you feel good, but it is so stupid and it does nothing for you. There are 4 main metrics you should be tracking, and I guarantee you're probably not tracking these. The first thing you should track, and obviously you can track the booked calls and then qualified booked calls as well, but how many of the calls you're booking are actually qualified. Because if you're booking in 3 qualified calls per day, that is very different to booking in 3 calls per day. The second thing is convo to booked ratio. How many new conversations that you're having on a daily basis are turning into booked calls? Because if it's like, okay, you're having 20 conversations and 5 of them went into booked calls, you have a really good 25% convo to booked ratio. But if it goes down to 0.05, okay, there's something wrong. Like these conversations are cooked. Number 3 is your show up rate. So like, what is the show up rate of the people you're actually booking in? If you book in 10 calls, let's say they're all qualified hypothetically, are they all showing up? Or is it like 8 of them? Is it 9 of them? Because if they're not showing up and you can kind of find a better way to get them to show up, you'll usually make more money. Now, the final metric you should be tracking is the amount of follow-ups you've also done, because obviously the more volume you do, the more calls you're gonna book. There is obviously a lot of metrics you should track, like outbound or booked calls, qualified booked calls, convo to booked rate, booked to qualified rate. There's a lot of things, but you don't want to overcomplicate it. If you track those main 4, you should be fine. You should be able to kind of see where problems exist. Because the issue is a lot of people in this industry say, oh, I have a setting issue, or my offer has, whatever issue. But if you break it down into multiple metrics and you can see, okay, my show up rate is 50%, then we can just increase it by adding more follow-ups, and now it's 80%, now we make 30% more money. If you're tracking the amount of booked calls you have, but you're seeing that not many of them are qualified, now you can be like, okay, well, we're booking in a lot of calls, but they're not qualified. They're booking in non-qualified leads. That is now an issue. We're wasting a lot of the closer's time, right? And you can kind of like reverse engineer these problems as you go. I have a dashboard where I track all of these, and it is pretty easy to do. I suggest you don't do it manually, especially now that you have Claude nowadays. You could basically use like an end of day form, and you can create your own sales dashboard as a setter for your setting metrics. And you can be like, okay, well, this is the amount of calls I booked. This is the follow-up rate. You can get autistic with it, obviously, but ideally the team you're working with already tracks these core metrics. If they don't track the 4 I mentioned, make sure to tell them, hey, we should probably be tracking these as well. Now, the 4th system I'm going to give you is the follow-up system. Most of the money sitting in your current pipeline or inbox of leads or whatever didn't convert the first time, which is very, very natural. If you look at corporate sales, the average sales process is anywhere from 6 months to 24 months. It takes people a while to go from, oh, I know this guy, to I wholeheartedly trust this guy with my money and I know he can help me. And in order to get them there sooner, you need to have more touch points. You need to have more conversations. If you've ever studied content, it takes about 7 hours on average for a prospect or a lead to watch your content before they buy anything from you. And that is only going up because of the trust recession that we are in. Now, obviously, setting is built in order to help that trust recession so we can have more touch points with these people, but that means you need to have more follow-ups. The more follow-ups you do, the more touch points you have, the more conversations you have with these people, the more they will trust you, the more likely they will be to book in a call and then eventually go and buy. The mistake a lot of setters will make is they will only follow up with the lead once and then they will be like, oh, I didn't get any reply, I'll go away, I'll leave them. That is way too early. If somebody was interested in you and then, for example, they just stopped replying to a conversation, you should not just say, okay, I'll send them one message. If they don't reply, that's it. You should like do more follow-ups, but you should also get creative with the follow-ups. Now, if you're wondering what you should say when you're actually speaking to these leads, it depends very much on the situation. So there's only so much I can give you. If the lead is like very serious, obviously you're maybe not going to send them a GIF. If they're not that serious, you can send them a GIF, but you kind of want to like reinstate that conversation. Sometimes you can reply to a story. Sometimes you can reply to a message they said about how they have an exam in a month, and you can kind of keep it unique to them, because every person who buys something from you or the team you're working with wants to feel unique. They don't want to feel like another person in a sales process. So even if you're like, yo, okay, this guy hasn't replied to me in a few weeks, and the last time we spoke, he had this issue, think about how smart this is. Let's say, for example, somebody told you they have this issue with whatever business model they're in, and you decide, okay, let me tell my team so we can make a YouTube video about this or a reel about this. And then you message the guy 2 weeks later and you're like, yo, bro, I was just thinking about you. I actually appreciate you because you inspired us. We made this video about your problem. Do you want me to send it over? And they're like, yeah, please do. Now you've reignited the conversation, which is obviously really good because you've just done another touch point and you can converse from there further, but you've also got them to spend more time with you by watching more material from you. So if I message you, I'm like, yo, I know you had this issue, but I just made this video for you. You're gonna watch it, you're gonna be reminded of me, and then we're gonna continue the conversation on Instagram while you spend more time with me on YouTube, for example, and then you're gonna trust me way more. And I'm like fast tracking that. So when you make a new video, you should also be thinking, okay, who can I send this to? Who would benefit from this? You don't want to annoy people, only if it actually helps them, but you get the point. You can get creative with this stuff. YouTube strategy works really well. Now, the fifth system, which is last but not least, and this is literally gonna determine how good you are as a setter, is the A-player system. Now, the setters who stay on offers long-term and eventually become closers or sales managers or crush don't just book in calls. They don't just do follow-ups. They don't just make sure the show rate is high. They actually try to push the business forward and fix more problems so the setting process can also do better. And I know that sounds crazy, so let me explain it. Most setters determine how good they are based off of one thing, which is how many calls did I book? Not qualified calls, but just how many calls did I book? Did I hit KPI? If you have KPIs, which is key performance indicators. Now, an A-player setter, or like a top performer or a 1% setter, if you want to call them that, will measure themselves based on how much the team does per month. So like if the team hit a milestone of 100K per month. An A-player setter will be like, okay, so I noticed that when we posted this YouTube video or this Instagram reel, we got in really good leads, and a lot of people are like, yo, I really like that video. That made me want to reach out to you and get help. If you tell the team, the content team, the offer owner, and you're like, everybody from this video has been really, really good, we should do more of it, you guys have found a strategy on what content to post to get more leads. But if you kind of tell them, yo, this video you posted sucks, it brought in terrible leads, DQs, I don't want to see that video again, it's really bad, they'll be like, okay, we should stay away from that content. You can basically maneuver the content that goes out from your team. I know very successful businesses that are doing hundreds of thousands of dollars per month, and they have their sales reps, their appointment setters, and their closers getting on call with the content guys, so like the editors or whoever it is doing the content, being like, yo, what videos are doing well right now? What videos aren't doing well? What should we double down on? What limiting beliefs do people have? How can we make this better for everybody in our audience? And then they keep talking back and forth, and they're like, we should make this YouTube video because I saw a lot of people struggle with this. So you get the point. You can do objections, you can do things people need help with, you can do like all different types of stuff. You can be like, this is the feedback on the video we just posted. And this makes you irreplaceable because now you're trying to figure out how you guys can make more money, which is usually marketing, it's usually content. Because when you operate like a business partner or a business owner instead of just an employee or just a setter, which is people just tend to just booking calls and that's it, the offer owner will like you a lot because you're helping him make or her make more money, but they'll also trust you a lot more and they'll want to give you more opportunities. So when they go and they make more money and they need maybe a closer or a CSM or a manager or whatever it is, your name will come up first because they will trust you so much. A very good friend of mine worked with a team that is now doing hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. He started as a setter. He then made over $10,000 in a single month as a setter, and then he eventually transitioned into a closer, and now he's doing like $20,000 to $30,000 per month. He does some management stuff as well, and he's absolutely crushing it. And the offer owner, the business owner, loves him because they have this great synergy and they're working together to push the business forward. They both see it as their own business, and therefore they're both trying to fix problems to make more money. So basically, if you want to be an A-player setter, you should probably be tracking like what content is bringing in really good leads and what content's bringing in really bad leads, and what should we double down on, what should we kind of avoid, that type of thing. If you do stuff like that, that will make you very irreplaceable, as I said, and you will just become more and more valuable to the team. Now, setting gets hard when you're running on effort alone, but it gets a lot easier the moment you build something around the effort. The show-up system means fewer booked calls are wasted. The dead time protocol means every hour counts and you're becoming way more efficient as a setter. The tracking system means you stop guessing what to fix because you actually have data. The follow-up system means you stop leaving money in the pipeline, and the A-player system is what gets you promoted so you can transition and grow with the team. Start with one, get it working, and then add to the next. If you want to start with a full foundation and not just the systems, but the actual skill, the training, and guaranteed placement onto a vetted offer with the real support, that is exactly what we've built Setters Academy for. The link is in the description. Book in a call and we will walk you through what it looks like for your situation. Peace.